This lesson begins a study of the book of Job, and it is in the Keturah section of the Hebrew Bible, along with other literary books such as Psalms, Esther, and Proverbs, and it is considered a bridge between the Torah and the prophets. It's, of course, also in the Christian Bible. The word Job in the Hebrew means persecuted, and he is a symbol for the election. And the election, of course, are those who in the first earth age, when Satan rebelled, stood with God. And these persons have special duties to do, especially in the end times when they are expected, like Job, to stand against Satan. Is he a real person? Unsure. However, Genesis 46:13 does include a person named Job, who is a son of Issachar. And it would have been set or possibly written between 1700 and 1516 BC in the time of Moses. Now, he will have three friends who will come to offer advice and ways to get out of his trouble. Are these sons of Israel? No, they aren't. Two of them are descendants of Esau, and one is a descendant of Abraham and his second wife, Keturah. And we are to be very careful. The passages in the book of Job that are the statements of these three ratchet jaws, that they are not from the words of God. They are man's opinion. If you hear a sermon and these passages that are quoted from these three friends, the soliloquies they deliver, then you will know that that is not the Word of God. However, it is contained in the Bible. Is it important to study Job? Yes, we can see 7 very clear lessons from it. Will be summed up in the end of the study. And Job is referenced 57 times in the Bible. And of course, in this time, his differs in that today, in times of trouble, we have Jesus, our intercessor, and the Holy Spirit. The first few chapters set out the troubles and how the troubles came about for Job. I would contend that as a literary form, this is a drama. I could stage it as a one-act play very easily. The book of Job, verse 1, chapter 1. This is fairly straightforward, and we'll read right through it. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. He hated evil. 2. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. 7, the spiritually perfect, and also 3. And the number 10, we tend to think of those 10 rulers who will be used by Satan in the end times. 2, 3. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels. Once again, numbers of perfection. And 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. This would have been to the east of Jerusalem. 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. His day would be his birthday. This is a very close-knit family, and of course, among those descendants of the children of Israel, your birthright was very important. Everyone knew his genealogy. And so it was, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sacrificed them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This Job did continually. He did what was required in that time. He sacrificed for the possible sin of his sons. And we can take that example. We, as parents, need to be every day in prayer for our children, for all their needs, and for, of course, the strengthening and the relationship with Jesus that they need. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Sons of the Lord, those are the angels. And Satan in this, if you in the Hebrew language, there's a definite article here. It's ha-Satan, or the Satan, not just a representative. So they are in before the Lord. Now, this would be very much fun to costume if it were presented as a play. Dostoevsky in The Brothers Karamazov, I think, presents Satan in shabby evening dress. It might be fun to stage this and dress Satan in a rhinestone jacket and a top hat, a cane, and maybe even some tap shoes. He certainly needs to stand out as a flashy sort. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Of course, we know no one is perfect. However, that word perfect in the Hebrew is often used to mean mature. He was grown up in his love for God and in his actions. 7. And the Lord 8. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? Yes, he wanted Satan to consider Job. If he's walking up and down, to and fro, looking for whomever he can harm. 9. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? For no reason? 10. Hast not thou made a hedge around him, and about his house, and about all that he hath? And on every side thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So he's saying to God, you take that wall down, and he will curse you when he doesn't have what you have provided. Now we are told also that we as well can have a wall about ourselves. 12. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. God said, you touch everyone but Satan. But, not everyone but Job himself, his person. 13. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. Now the hedge is removed. What happens? And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. 15. And the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants and with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone. So now the oxen are gone, and the servants who attended them. 16. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Now the sheep are gone and the oxen are gone. 17. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 hands and fell upon the camels, and they have carried them away, yes, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Now he's lost the source of food, the source of sacrifice, and the source of transportation, and to move goods, possibly to a market, and all of the servants who are attending these persons or animals. 18. While I was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. We can take that word man there to mean both the sons and the daughters. All the 10 are gone. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. Everything he has is gone. He did not curse God. He worshipped. Verse 21, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. He knew that this was not from God. Now, Job is bereft of everything. The only thing he has left is his wife. Chapter 2. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to be present, to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. Once again, gathering of angels with the Lord too. And the Lord said unto Satan, From thence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. 3. And the Lord said, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. First 2 lessons from the book of Job. 1, bad things that happen to us do not come from God, and we are not to lose our integrity, but to hang on to it as Job did. 4, and Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bones and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. Okay, now he's asking permission to attack Job bodily. 7, so went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. So now Job is covered with very painful, awfully pockets of infection all over his body. 8, and he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Sitting among ashes, a sign of mourning, and he scraped his body with a fragment of a broken pot. 9, Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. With a wife like that, who needs a friend? Now, she would be fun to costume in a tattered old robe, maybe with some patches on it and dust flying out of it, and delivering her lines with a downturned mouth and a screechy, bad voice. 10, but he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good of the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? All this did not Job sin with his lips. He never, ever said, God did this to me, nor is he going to take her advice to curse God. 11, now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they were every one from his own place. Eliphaz and Teman, the Temanite, and Bildad the Shumahite, and Zophar the Naamathite, for they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. Hardly do we need these friends. Eliphaz means God's his strength. As a Temite, we know that he's the son of Esau. The second one, Bildad, his name means son of contention. He also is from a Shuhite and is connected to Esau in an in-law type relationship. So far, his name means sparrow, and that very last part, Nam, he's a descendant of Nam, who was the last son of Keturah and Abraham. And of course, those descendants of Abraham did not inherit anything in the promised land. Verse 12. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent every one his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. This is a sign of mourning, all of these things. 13 to complete this chapter. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spoke a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was great. Those 7 days and nights, that would have been a normal mourning period in this time frame and in this part of the world. Verse 3. Now we are going to have a long soliloquy by Job. It would require very good acting skills. Possibly at points he might break down and weep. And it must be very carefully done and directed so that it has not 1 ounce of comedic element to it. Job chapter 3, verse 1. After this opened Job his mouth and cursed the day, the day of his birth. And Job spake and said, Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, There is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkness, let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let the darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come unto the number of the months. Let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their concerning. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none, neither let it see the dawning of that day. So he is saying that he would like to see the day of his birth, the night of his conception. He would like to see it gone. This is quite a pity party, but he is not blaming God. 10. Let the stars of the twilight therefore be dark. And we did that one because it shut up the doors of my mother's womb and hid sorrow from mine eyes. So he just wished that maybe he had been miscarried. Because why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why wasn't I just a stillborn, he is saying. 12. Why did the knees prevent me? Why the breast that I should suck? Or why maybe that I even had a mother that nurtured and nursed me. 13. For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept then, had I been at rest. Had I just died as an infant, he is saying, I could have been at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver. I could have been amongst all these people. Or as a hidden, untimely birth. I had not been as infants which never saw light. In other words, I could have died in the womb and been miscarried. 17. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. 18. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the prisoners, the voices of the oppressor. They don't hear the devil. He knows who the oppressor is. Has he blamed God? Not once. 19. The small and great are there, and the servants free from his master. Free if you are on the other side of life, he is saying. 20. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul. 21. Which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasure. He wishes so much that he would just die and go into where he can't be oppressed. 23. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? He realizes that the hedge is not there. 24. For my sighing cometh before I sat, and my courage are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, that which I was afraid of it to come unto me. So he is worried about such a day. 26. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. He's saying, I don't think I did anything that I should not have done, and but he understands. And likewise in 1 Corinthians 10:13, Paul tells us that nothing will come upon us that, if we are with Christ, that we cannot bear, and nothing that God will not show us a way out. Let us do chapter 4. We're going to hear Eliphaz give his little sermon. And of course, he is a descendant of Esau, who was cursed in Genesis 27, and he was sent to live away from the fat of the land. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If you say to a commune with thee, will thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. He said, Yes, Job, you've done a lot of good. For the words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. You have helped a lot of people. 5. But now is some come upon thee, and thou faintest within thee, and thou art troubled. He said, It's all gone, Job. You're not holding up very well. 6. Is not that thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the righteous uprightness of thy ways? Yes, he is questioning. You mean your religion didn't hold you up? Wow, you're a Christian and this happened to you, we might hear today. 7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous far off? He said, when did you ever see anyone suffer who was innocent? He is charging Job. Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and now wickedness reap the same. He said, Job, you've done something wicked, and you are reaping this. By the blast of God they perished. By the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. Yes, he's saying it was your God that consumed you. 10. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. And there are 5 names for a lion. 11. Then the old lion perisheth for lack of prey. That's what happens to the old one. And the stout lion's whelps or babies are scattered abroad. There were going to be 5 names for a lion in the book of Job. So we've got 2 here. 12. Now a thing that was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. Oh, I have heard something. And today we might hear someone say, well, I have heard from God, and I have this to say to you. The sky's full of hot air. 13. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on me. Oh, I've had a vision. I had a dream. 14. Fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. 15. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. 16. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was thence before my eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice. Now, this is sounding very religious, isn't it? He's giving quite a sermon, and he's had some kind of a supernatural experience. And, is it true? Can he be believed? Remember Saul's downfall when he failed to seek God for advice, and he went to the witch of Endor. This is what he heard the voice say. Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? He's saying, Job, you have fallen short. Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. So he is saying here that he will correct, and even angels. 19. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundations is in dust, which the corruption before the moth. So there we know flesh will turn to dust, and he is saying, what kind of thing do you expect when you're a person in a flesh body? 20. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without regarding it. He said they just die all the time. 21. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. So he is given quite a sermon here, pretending to have been heard from God, had a vision, and he's just simply saying, God, he's accusing Job, and he's saying, you are not innocent, and God has done this to you. And this is another lesson. Of course, we have two more friends who will speak, but when we need advice, do we seek someone who is a man who claims to have a word from God, had a dream, or do we go to God and do we depend on God? And we will see how Job reacts. This video has been an outreach of the Global Methodist Church, Crossroads in Dexter, Missouri, and the Essex Methodist Church, and also the Bernie Global Methodist Church in Bernie, Missouri. Thank you.